Morning, meeting time.
I thought you canceled it. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. We are so excited to have you all today. My name is Samuel Itayo, and today is January 16. And every January 16, we celebrate the National Religious Freedom Day. You will hear a lot about Religious Freedom Day as it's being celebrated in the United States today. Today, we are privileged to have our distinguished speakers. We'll be introducing them shortly.
Is it volume from us?
Our topic for discussion today is building bridges, breaking barriers, empowering youth for religious coexistence. The opening remarks will be given by Schlieman, a political officer, International Religious Freedom, U.S. Embassy, Abuja. We also have distinguished speakers, Bishop Imam Isong, General Overseer, CCCI, Calabar, Cross River State. Also, we have Imam Sefiu, Majemu, the Chief Imam, the Islamic Platform Society of Nigeria. These distinguished panelists are going to be discussing the topic as indicated. But first, we are going to listen to the opening remarks by our political officer, Stephen. Stephen, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'll have a few remarks. As we mentioned, today is National Religious Freedom Day in the U.S., which is different from international, but both are important. So as mentioned, my name is Stephen Schlieman, and I am a political officer here at the U.S. Embassy in Abuja, and I cover the international religious freedom portfolio. So I appreciate the opportunity to address those of you gathered here today. And to reaffirm, can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
Okay.
Please mute where you are not talking, please.
Okay. So I was saying, so I appreciate the opportunity to address those of you gathered here today and to reaffirm the United States' strong and enduring commitment to advancing religious freedom for all. The diversity of the audience that I see here reflects the collaboration these challenges demand in Nigeria and throughout the world. We are grateful for everybody's engagement and leadership. Freedom of religion is a bedrock American value and is the very first freedom in the First Amendment to our Constitution. It's also enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a fundamental right for all people, no matter where they live, no matter what they believe or do not believe. That right to think and worship in our own way and to follow our conscience and to change our beliefs is inextricably linked to so many rights we hold dear. 26 years ago, when President Clinton signed the International Religious Freedom Act into law, he noted, when we promote religious freedom, we also promote freedom of expression, conscience, and association, and other human rights. When religious liberty is at risk, those other freedoms are jeopardized as well. Yet some 80% of the world's population still cannot practice their faith without serious restrictions or risk. And that has consequences for us all. Time after time, we have seen how religious persecution can undercut stability and inclusive economic development, spiraling into violence and conflict. Meanwhile, countries that respect human rights and foster inclusion find themselves better positioned to grow, deliver for their people, and contribute to addressing our most pressing global challenges. For this reason, protecting and promoting religious freedom is vital to safeguarding America's national security and continues to be an essential part of our diplomacy around the world. Our ambassador at large for international religious freedom, Rashad Hussain, and his team have been traveling to the globe to address discriminatory laws and policies and advocating for those who have been unfairly targeted and to promote tolerance and respect. This spring, the State Department will release our 26th annual International Religious Freedom Report, providing a comprehensive review of the state of religious freedom in nearly 200 countries and territories across the globe, including here in Nigeria, and is illustrating how the U.S. government has advocated for this critical right. Here in Nigeria, the U.S. Embassy funds peace-building programs that train traditional youth, religious, and women leaders to build mechanisms to resolve tensions before they become violent conflicts. Peace ambassadors from embassy-funded projects work to bridge the gap between victims, traditional and religious leaders, and the security services in Kaduna State. The embassy facilitates dialogue between aggrieved parties, promoting respect for religious freedom, and trains communities and religious leaders to peacefully resolve disputes. In all of our efforts to advance freedom of religion and belief, advocates, groups, and individuals like yours play an indispensable role. You bring voices of the victims to the attention of the world, often at great risks to yourselves. You are frequently the first to report persecution and the first to support those in desperate need. Your courageous advocacy empowers governments like ours to press other countries for greater accountability and action. People of faith, like all people, deserve to live free from fear and oppression. And with your continued partnership, U.S. Mission Nigeria and the entire United States government will continue standing strongly for the right of every person to worship and believe as they choose. Thank you for your time, and look forward to hearing the follow-on discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Stephen. Can we put our hands together for Stephen? Thank you. We're very grateful for those inspiring words and for us to know what the U.S. Mission in Nigeria is doing to improve the religious freedom in the country. We appreciate your coming, sir. Thank you very much. We now go right ahead to the introduction of the panelists, and I'm going to call Mr. Adeniyi to please introduce Imam from American Corner, Ikeja, while I ask Mrs. Han Mesembe to introduce the bishop in Calabar. Over to you, Adeniyi.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So I'm going to read Imam's profile. Imam Sefiu AbduKarem Majemu is an indigenous of Lagos State from Emmah. He is the chief Imam of the Islamic Platform Society of Nigeria and the National State Public Service Staff Development Center, PSSDC, Magodo, GRA, Lagos. He is the founder and co-executive director of the Strength in Diversity Development Center and the Farmers Advocacy and Support Initiative in Nigeria. He is the national coordinator of the Interreligious Coalition Against Corruption in Nigeria, the Interfaith Partnership for Sustainable Development in Nigeria, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Open Farm and Agro-Allied Company Limited. Imam Sefiu AbduKarem Majemu studied Arabic and Islamic Studies at the Zuleika Abiola College, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree, BSc in Advertising and Public Relations, and postgraduate degree in Communication Studies at the Lagos State University, Majemu. Also, MSc in Agribusiness Management at the Rome Business School, Nigeria. He is currently a PhD research student at the same university. He is an alumni of the U.S. International Visitor Leadership Program 2010 in Religious Freedom and Interfaith Dialogue, the United States Institute of Peace, Geneva Center for Security Studies, Harvard Divinity School, and the Berlin Center for International Diplomacy and Cultural Studies. Imam Sefiu AbduKarem Majemu is an international fellow of the King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz International Center for Interreligious and Intercultural Dialogue, and the European Union Global Exchange on Religion and Society. He is a member of many international organizations, such as the Network for Religious and Traditional Peacemakers, Finland and Washington, D.C., Foundation for Ethnic Understanding, New York City, Partnership for Religion and Development, Majemu, and United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, World Bank IMF Global Faith Initiative, CSO, Forum on the United Nations Convention Against Corruption and the United Nations. Also, lastly, he is also on the forum for the United Nations Convention Against Corruption and the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations. He is the founder and executive director of the International Center for Religious Moderation, Nigeria, and currently the National Co-Secretary, Interfaith Dialogue Forum for Peace in Nigeria. He is married and blessed with children. I present to you Imam, Sefiu AbduKarem Majemu.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction. We go straight to Calabar now, and Mesembe.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes, this is a profile of Bishop Dr. Emmah Gospel Isong, JP, born in Itumbang, Nigeria on the 26th of October, 1964, to a Methodist father, Elder Isong Ntwen of Ikono local government area, an apostolic mother, Madam Nwoko Ni Ukut Isong Ntwen of Ikot Ekpene local government in Akwa Ibom State. Emmah Gospel Isong holds a BSc in Banking and Finance at the University of Calabar, an honorary doctorate degree of divinity, a member, Institute of Biographical Center, Cambridge, England. He attended the Ministry Training Institute, MTI, Malaysia, awarded the certificates of recognition, United States of America, House of Representatives, a fellow, Institute of Administrative Managers of Nigeria, the National Publicity Secretary of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN. He was the Chief Executive Officer, Remedy for Victims of Religious Persecution and Discrimination Initiative, and the presiding bishop, Christian Central Chapel International. He's a Faith Mansion Worldwide Center and carries a 20,000 seat auditorium based in the city of Testimonies, 8 Miles, Calabar, Nigeria. Appointed the chairman, Cross River State Anti-Tax Agency from May 2020 to May 2023 by the Cross River State government due to his passion towards the less privileged. He's the executive director, Center for Peace, Democracy, and Development, a co-trustee of the Religious Leaders, Anti-Corruption Committee of United States Consulates in Nigeria, also the co-founder, Inter-Religious Coalition Against Corruption in Nigeria. Dr. Emmah Gospel Isong is a Jerusalem pilgrim, JP, a national patron, South-South of Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ. Recently inducted Ambassador for Peace by the Universal Peace Federation, an affiliate of United Nations. Bishop is married to Lady Pastor, Magistrate Helen Eyima Isong. They are blessed with 3 children, 6 lovely grandchildren. He is a well-known author, coach, mentor, social commentator, and a conference speaker who has traveled extensively in 32 years to over 52 countries within 5 continents to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. So, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Bishop Dr. Emmah Isong Gospel.
Thank you very, very much for that great introduction. The reason why we do this is for you to know that the people that were brought to the table for discussion are people who actually know exactly what they are saying. They are authority in this area. Let me remind you again, the topic is building bridges, breaking barriers, empowering youth for religious coexistence. We all know what we went through in Nigeria in the recent past, and so it's important for us to have this discussion. Imam and our Bishop, I understood that Imam has a presentation. What about you, Bishop? Do you also have a presentation?
I do have a presentation. What's the time limit?
Well, we are going to be dealing with like 15 minutes each.
That's good.
And then we have a discussion for the next 30, 40 minutes. But more importantly, we want you to let the youth know how to build these bridges and break all the barriers. So who is going to start? All right.
Imam, can you start, please?
Okay, so Imam, Bishop said he should start. So that's part of the building bridges. Okay, Imam.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the. Yeah, I'm on now. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity and the privilege given to me and the entire Muslim community in Nigeria, because that's a responsibility of the Muslim Ummah to speak on this platform. My greetings to the United States government and the Embassy of the US and the Consulate General in Lagos, and also to the American centers across the country. I also like to greet my and that is Dr. Bishop Emmah Gospel Isong. Yeah, we've been on this for long, and I think you have gotten me a good partner that will understand me. Whatever I say here, I'm saying with his authority. Thank you. Yeah, the topic before us, which is building bridges and breaking barriers, empowering youth for religious coexistence. This is a timely topic, and I believe that every one of us will definitely enjoy this. Yeah, without much ado, I would like to go to the background. First of all, we need to first of all know what we're talking about.
You can project your slides.
Okay. Okay. So youth empowerment is a process where children and young people are encouraged to take charge of their lives. They do this by addressing their situation and taking action in order to improve their access to resources and transform their consciousness through their beliefs, values, and attitude. Now, we look at the state of the Nigerian nation, which is very important, and how do we see youth in Nigeria, and how is the government itself, the family, the home, how are we breeding these future leaders? Because we all know that the youth are the future leaders. We were all in that state before, and today we have close to about the Nigerian population is, about 65 to 70% of the Nigerian population is the youth. The youth are like 65 to 70% of the Nigerian population, and there's a lot that are being uncounted. So our youth have been, the problem we are facing now is that the youth have been disconnected from the mainstream society, especially areas of faith, moral values, etc., and community engagement. The prejudice have been the result that we are seeing today: insurgency, radicalization, violent conflicts, extremism, religious bigotry, and so on and so forth. Who are the influencers? If we look at the youth, who are those influencing the youth? First of all, we look at parenting. What kind of parenting are we giving to the youth? and the home, the background that they come from. And this is very, very important because when we were growing up, we live in an environment where religious freedom is well entrenched. But today, we are not seeing the same thing here in our society today. We live in an environment whereby Muslim and Christian children go to the same school. We call it, public schools. We relate together, we eat together, we dine together. The houses we stay, we live in Face Me, and we call it Face Me and Slap You in Ajegule. I live in Ajegule. And that environment is where you will see people mingling together, irrespective of their cultural background, irrespective of their religious background. When we're growing up, when it's time for Christmas, we, the Muslim children, we start going to the Christian homes and knocking at their door that we have not seen your chicken. We have not seen it. So we want to celebrate with them. We are one, and we are so excited to see that Christmas is coming and we are celebrating with them. When it's time for Eid, for Salah, you see the Christian children, the parents, everybody asking, where's your father's ram? Where's your father's ram? And this and that. So we take the ram around together. So these are part of the way we mixed up during that period. But today, the case is not the same. We have seen a situation whereby everybody is living in isolation, and where parents are actually teaching their children that other people are not important. Where we have seen this in Muslim homes, we have seen this in Christian homes. We have seen an environment whereby people no longer relate with one another. If you go to schools, now we have Christian schools, only Christian schools. We have only Muslim schools. These are not good for religious freedom. When we were growing up, we were going to mixed schools where you sit side by side with Christians. You sit side by side with Igbos. You sit side by side with Hausa. I married from the north. Why? And I married from the school, from my high school. I married because I didn't marry a Yoruba woman. I married from the north because we were sitting together in the same class. We were relating together in the class. We were able to mix, and nobody is talking about this person is a Christian, this person is a Muslim. So other influencers are the environment, and environment comprises of our schools, comprises of our peer groups and community leadership. Then the government. What kind of religious freedom policy are put in place? The Nigerian Constitution states that everyone is entitled to their religion, you have religious freedom, but are we saying that? We have seen in some clime in part of the country whereby Muslims dominated states or communities, we see a situation whereby they are not allowing other people, the minorities, to practice their religion. We have seen in other part of Nigeria, whereby Muslims were not given the free hand to practice their religion. People were gagged, the space was shrinked. Even governments were not doing anything. Parents were not teaching their children how to relate with others, because a child that goes to a purely Christian school cannot see other people important. Then how do we do this? How can we encourage this? We need to encourage interfaith education and skills. In our schools, we must ensure that the curriculum is reviewed to reflect in religious freedom, to reflect interfaith collaboration. We also look at fostering mentoring and relationship, whereby we create spaces around the country whereby people can come together and share their views, share their religion, learn from one another. This will actually help a greatly to build a better nation. The outcome will look at how we promote religious literacy, because within the religion itself, there are intra-conflicts where people cannot even understand their religion. So if you don't understand Islam very well, you will know that when you create space for other people, it's part of Islamic teaching. It's part of Islamic doctrine for you to respect other people, for you to tolerate other people, for you to respect other people. And now we are promoting what we call religious moderation. Moderation, in the sense of it, is about how we promote a moderate level of religion that allow other people to come within our space and be safe, rather than for us to create a space whereby people come and they are not safe. So also look at communication. Communication is critical. How do we pass our messages, religious messages? Is it by incitement or we throw out hate speech? And that is why today we are breeding future religious leaders that will embrace religious freedom. As part of the Nigerian Roundtable on religious freedom in Nigeria and also at the Washington, D.C., we have designed a lot. The moderation project is about bringing people around to discuss what we call religious scriptural reflection, looking at issues of common interest, and we discuss those topics based on our religious teachings, having the Bible by side, the Quran by the side, and we discuss it. We also look at partnership. I and Bishop Emmah is a good example of partnership, and we have influenced a lot of youth in this regard. Seeing a bishop working with Imam, and not only on the anti-corruption programs, we have done this, ensuring that the youth themselves are brought together at every level to discuss what we call religious tolerance. So our youth is now up to them, up to you, to be the interfaith change maker. Interfaith change maker meaning that you are the one that will come up now. You need to build your spiritual intelligence. We call it SI. Spiritual intelligence about learning the moderate part of religion, not the extreme part of religion. Two, you need to build what you call your native intelligence, meaning that learning about your environment. The Nigerian system is very, very rich in terms of cultural norms and values. That is enough for us to even sell out to others. We call that, we call it NI. Then the AI, which is the new thing now, which is the artificial intelligence. We believe that the aggregation of both the religious intelligence, the spiritual intelligence, and the native intelligence should be what we should develop into the artificial intelligence by promoting this globally and letting people to learn from our diversity, the strength in our diversity. To also develop your knowledge and be highly inclined to learn new knowledge within your faith, enhancing your coexistence with others. When you learn widely, when we're in secondary school, I lead the assembly and I lead the Christian worship. Even as an afar, they call me afar in my school. People know that I'm a religious from my childhood. They know that I'm inclined to my faith. But that doesn't stop me from reading the songs of praise to the students on the assembly. So these are ways we developed ourselves and we have become what we are today. And that's why we're able to live with anyone across the world. Tolerance is very, very important. We must tolerate ourselves, and we must ensure that all these are put together to enhance religious freedom. I would like to conclude with this very important statement that was sent to me by the International Religious Freedom from Washington, D.C. yesterday, and this was a statement of President Joseph Biden. The constitutional right to practice our faith peacefully and openly is a core tenet of our democracy and helps us fulfill one of our highest aspirations as a nation. To be a standard of liberty and beacon of freedom, on Religious Freedom Day, we renew our pledge to protect that right by ensuring each person of any faith or belief can live out the deepest conviction of their conscience with dignity and respect. So this is coming from the American president yesterday, and I read it this morning, and I feel it's very, very important for us as youth to imbibe this, that is our constitutional right for people to practice their religion. If you cite examples of whereby some youth have used their useful exuberance to, like cause conflict within their community and society, these are result of not being able to bridge that gap of religious differences, which is very, very important to us in this part of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Imam. Thank you for that very, very inspiring presentation. I hope we're all noting some of the points that were raised. And I like your point when you said the youth, they have a lot of information at their disposal, and it's up to them to decide what they would like to do. So the youth, are you listening? We would like you to respond with questions, with comments after the presentation of Bishop. Bishop, please can you lower this so that Bishop can see Bishop's face? Adeni?
Yes, I'll come there.
All right. So we now go to Calabar for Bishop Isong's presentation. Over to you, sir.
Can you give us access so we can share his?
You have co-host already. You have the right.
Okay.
You can see it now.
Is it clear, sir?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So you can use your. Maybe I'll use this.
Okay, start.
No, it's okay. All right. Let me appreciate my co-chairman of ICACN, Imam Sefiu, for that very powerful presentation. I was right when I said Imam should start. I was right. And now many salient points have been raised in his presentation. I'm sure when it comes to discussion, everybody in the centers, in the American corners will be ready to talk. The youths are ready. Are you guys ready? And now my presentation. I'll start with introduction. January 16 every year is dedicated as the National Religious Freedom Day. We thank our hosts and our sponsors and their associate partners, the American Consulate, the US Embassy, and all of us in the American corner. Thank you so much, especially Imam Sefiu, AbduKarem, and all who join us in this space in Nigeria as we celebrate the day. Our topic, as you have heard, is building bridges, breaking barriers, empowering youth for religious coexistence. And here at the Women Development Center, the American corner, Calabar, and in all the American spaces all over the nation, like I said, and those of us who are even joining us virtually, we welcome you and thank you for participating in this very important dialogue. Our generation shall not miss this valuable opportunity to foster religious coexistence. I have mine in part, so part two. Part two is religious tolerance or religious acceptance. I do always differ. My colleague Imam has been with me in several fora. I always differ when people say religious tolerance, because the English word to tolerate me kind of is derogatory and sarcastic. It's like if I'm inferior. So if I'm tolerating a Muslim, it's like if he's inferior. And if a Muslim is tolerating me, it's like if, let me use Nigerian English, like if they manage me. So I always like to use the word religious acceptance, in which case I base religious acceptance on these three premises. Number one, that we are all children of Adam. That means I accept you as a human being. So that child of Adam is important to me in what we call religious tolerance, okay? Religious acceptability. And number two thing that helps me as a youth or as a leader or as a politician accept another person of another faith is what I base on patriotism. That means we have the same African blood, we have the same continent, we are in the same world, we belong to the same world, we belong to the same country. Let's take Nigeria for instance, because we're talking about Nigeria in this space. So I accept you first as a creation of God through Adam, then I accept you secondly as a Nigerian. So I'm being patriotic, I'm constitutionally right without necessarily going religious to accept my brother in Katsina State, in Kebbi State, as a Nigerian. If that happens in football, you see people playing football, the African Cup of Nations is on. Nobody's going to say, and the Christian passes the ball to a Muslim, and the Muslim passes the ball to others. Oh, a Hindu has scored. No, they don't say that. They said, a Nigerian has passed the ball, a Green Eagle has passed the ball. So these aspects are not considered in the football field and should not be considered in the parliament, should not be considered in schools. And I have a third premise upon which I call it the Abrahamic. I have got to discover when I went to Israel that all the world's major religion, Christianity, Judaism, who can help me with the third one, Christianity, are from one father, Abraham. So I'm a son of Abraham. And I believe that somebody practicing some faith belongs to the Abrahamic lineage. That these three premises cements my teaching on religious acceptability. Remember, we have changed from tolerance to acceptability. So now we go to part 3, the youths as stakeholders in today's society. We're talking about the youth as the builders of the bridge, as the breakers of barriers. In the Holy Scripture, I'll quote the Holy Scripture, 1 John 2, verse 14. He said, I've written unto you, young men, because ye are strong, and the word of God abideth in you. And ye have done what? Overcome the wicked. The youths are therefore the drivers of the vehicle of national development and integration. So whether it be a peaceful society, who is the driver of that peaceful society? The youth. Or whether it be a riotous, violent, and bloodshed society filled with crime and hate, who is precipitating it? It's the youth also. So we have seen on both sides of the coin, whether we are enjoying peace at one time, it must be a critical mass of the youths who believe in peace. And if we're experiencing at any territory some form of violence or friction, social tension, it must be who? It must still be the youth. So I go to part 4 very quickly. Religion and ethnicity as a knife. This is a doctrine I brought out recently. I've given this doctrine at university lectures last time at the NTA Tuesday Live 27. If you can go into NTA Tuesday Live of 27 December 2023, you see this doctrine. I'll refer to that program hosted by Mr. Cyril Stober, where I unequivocally opine that there is nothing wrong with the knife. Is anything wrong with the knife? Nothing's wrong with the knife. It depends on the usage of the knife. So if an assassin gets hold of a knife, what does he used to do? He kills with it. And if a surgeon goes into the theater and somebody needed surgery and he gets hold of the same knife, I don't know who can tell me what will happen. He will save a life. So the same knife that can take a life is the same knife that can save a life. So religion and ethnicity, or whatever difference we have in themselves, are not harmful until a politician, a clergy, a businessman or decides to use them with a clandestine plan or ulterior motive to achieve an evil or terrorist agenda. So part 5. The trending doctrine of I no go grief for anybody. I cannot finish addressing Nigerian youths without addressing this new spirit, because this spirit can deal with us on this lecture or help us. I would decide to quote one of my friends, Professor O.E. Bassi, in his short thesis as follows. This is the year to embrace justice, excellence, consistency, honesty, ethical behaviors that would go ahead to make your year the best ever. So the slang, no grief for anybody, is not totally a red flag. However, people must be careful with their interpretation and implementation of it, especially in avoiding seeing it as a ticket for violence and selfishness when peace and love should reign. So husbands and wives and partners and friends, bosses and subordinates can agree for somebody for the sake of peaceful coexistence and workable methods of best practice. Part number 6, my part 6, building bridges and empowering youth for peaceful coexistence. I give the following panacea. Number 1, we need to educate our youth and not indoctrinate the youth. Imam went very close to that. Because what we do in churches, in mosques, in society, we are not educating the youth. Education is a kind of empowering the youth to be able to become agents of change in the society they have found themselves, giving them equipment, intellectual equipment that can help them to be productive in a certain society. But what we are doing today, we are simply indoctrinating the youth. We are recycling certificates. That's why a lot of certificates have been faked in Benin Republic, in Cotonou. We've discovered that some of those professors are even fake professors. So I'll give another one. Government must engage religious and traditional rulers. Imam mentioned it. He said the youth have been ostracized and separated and disconnected from governance. I believe our leaders in the religious circle and traditional circle should be involved. Our religious leaders in mosques and churches must change their messages of hate. Every terrorist activity happening in the north today, or even in the south, is a product of somebody who has gone there preaching hatred and calling somebody what? Infidel, and claiming somebody is blaspheming. We must have a penal code to control this. And of course, I continue in the panacea to help us. Interreligious seminars and conferences can help us. Democratic values must be strengthened to allow the survival of true justice system. We must return back to agriculture. The youth, somebody said that an idle youth is a devil's workshop. So the youth should be engaged through our going back to agriculture and ultimate industrialization. The government should stop this sharing of palliatives. I am an economist by training. I'm a banker by profession before I became a bishop. I have never seen an economy change by people sharing bags of rice, which ultimately most times don't reach out to the real owners. You can see that recently the president has abolished the social transfer system because it was abused. You read on pages of newspapers how trillions and billions and millions were shared to the poor. And I run a church of 20,000 people. None of those poor people have collected any of this palliative. Please, any of you here that got any of the palliative? Those who have received, say aye. Those who have not received, say nay. By this point, I have proved to the Nigerian people that a lot of people never got to get that money. Our society, our security architecture too should be overhauled. And anti-corruption must be our hallmark of integrity for all public office holders and political spaces in our nation. A government that condones corrupt public officers is simply showing bad example to the leaders of tomorrow. As I always say, one thief not caught produces many thieves not taught. So if we catch a thief and we don't go all out to punish and to show punitive measures, it would. Finally, part 7. This is a final one, and thank you for the time. Peace, to me, I said somewhere, is not a verb. Peace is not an adjective. Peace is a person. You will only enjoy peace in your environment if whoever is the leader in that place is peaceful. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, it says Jesus is what? The Prince of Peace. So I want to end by saying peace is a person. His name is Jesus. He's the Prince of Peace. The earlier our generation received Jesus as Lord and Savior, the earlier and better we shall have peaceful coexistence with all our youths, despite religion, tribe, and territory. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, this is very, very interesting. And I think we've seen all the two sides. The approach was, wonderful. Thank you very much. Now is the time to engage our speakers. We have listened to 3 speakers, and I would like you to, we give you opportunity from wherever you are. I can see from Abeokuta, Calabar, Ikeja, Abuja, Ibadan, Maiduguri, Bauchi, Sokoto, Oka, Enugu, Osogbo, Uyo, Dutse, Minna, and so on. So I would like you to begin to raise your hand up while we engage our speakers. While we're waiting, I would like to pose this question to the 2 speakers. And if you can make your answers short so that we can take many more, that will help us in our discussion today. One of the things I will really want you to really address are there initiatives in this country that have been used to help in bridging bridges and in furthering the coexistence of our young people in Nigeria. Are there initiatives? Are there, things that young people can lash on? I would like you to, if you are aware of any. So we start with Bishop, and then we'll go to Imam. If you have any, and then Joseph, if you have any comments, you can also be part of the Stephen. You can also be part of the discussion as well. All right. So Bishop, are there initiatives that we should be aware of that our young people can also lash into? Yes, over to you, sir.
Yeah, the ICSCN, which myself and Imam happen to co-coordinate under the sponsorship of Mumbai House, sponsored by MacArthur Foundation, initiated from the US Consulate. We've been traversing length and breadth of schools and offices, trying to raise up, for instance, anti-corruption clubs. We also have been linking with the ICPC and the EFCC to see in the area of integrity among our youths, the 7 core values of Nigerian constitution. Many youths don't know much about the 7 core values of honesty, integrity, and the rest. We also have been having clubs, anti-corruption clubs that bring Muslim youths and Christian youths. We've done that in Calabar, Warri, Akwa Ibom, Ibadan. Imam will remind me of those places. So there are a lot of those initiatives. And for us in Cross River, for instance, we intend to, we already have a farm we've procured and we've been farming. So what we did during COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, we moved in a lot of these youths, hundreds of them, and engaged them into farming. So during the pandemic, it was more of a time to exert the energy, because the youths have a lot of adrenaline, energy they have not exerted. And if you allow them lie salient, that's where it is converted to criminal tendencies. So for me, for now, those are the initiatives that have helped us driven this vision for integration and harmony among people of different beliefs and background.
Thank you very much. Imam, over to you. Can you unmute Imam, please?
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me start from how I got to this level. In 2010, there was a crisis in Ajegule where I lived, and it was between it was between the Hausa and the Ijaws, the later Christian Muslim. And after that crisis, I mitigated that crisis myself at a very tender age. Why? Because I have been involved in engaging leaders in my community. And at a point where after that crisis, I launched in the Muslim Leaders of Tomorrow conference. And that was where I gathered about 200 Muslims, because I felt that that is my constituency. I need to work on the Muslim youth then, and I was still youth. And that was where the United States Consulate General cited that project, and I was nominated for the IBLP. The IBLP changed my perception because when I was in the US, I learned about diversity. I learned that the American success and the American strength is in their diversity. So when I came back home, I set up the Strength in Diversity Development Center, which is actually what is trending today and is getting a lot of initiative for the youth. Our focus now is on ensuring that we bridge the gap project. There's a project we launched about 2 years ago called Bridge the Gap Project. The gap is our religious differences. This project is to bridge and reduce those gaps. And what do we do here? We do what we call scriptural reasoning programs, whereby we bring in religious leaders from the Christian religion, from the Hindu religion, from the Jewish community in Abuja, they are part of this, and we bring in the Muslims to discuss about common issues. From there, we transform to what we call the Interfaith Platform Live TV program, which we air, and we are relaunching because of the funding stopped, so we couldn't continue. But in few weeks, we are starting again on Rave TV, where youths call in on this program to interact with religious leaders and ask questions. So this is part of the initiative we had. The Bridge the Gap project was taken to universities and high schools, where we have the peace clubs now in schools, where they discuss as part of their co-curricular activities that is going on. We also have, recently, we had the Muslim Youth Empowerment Initiative. Our focus here, one of the major clusters that we created from the summit was the inter-religious cluster called Religious Freedom Cluster for the youth. Here we position religion as one of the agents of development, whereby instead of using religion to, to drive conflicts, violence, hate, we have brought the Muslim youth together to understand the fact that for them to really get to the greatest height in their life, they must embrace other people. Also, we launched the
Okay, Bishop. Sorry, I said Bishop Imam. I think.
Yes, correct.
Thank you very much. I just want to give other people the opportunity. We go to live to Bauchi right now. Or Stevie, you would like to add something?
No, I was just about to say, like I've enjoyed this presentation. I actually have to leave for another engagement here in about 2 minutes, but I applaud the work you're both doing. I think this is fantastic, and I hope, I arrived here a few months ago, so I'm hoping to meet many of you in person sooner rather than later. But thank you all for the great work you do, and I'm glad that we as U.S. Mission Nigeria can support these efforts. So, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Let's clap our hands and encourage. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate your presence. Okay, now we go to Bauchi and then Ikeja. Bauchi, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan from Bauchi State. Thank you, American Space. We also appreciate our speakers. They have spoken well. I think this particular topic is timely because it has been a major challenge, has been a leading factor that leads to our underdevelopment as Nigeria. If youth are educated, they have a knowledge on their religion, I believe it will empower us financially, spiritually. So I'm suggesting if there will be an opportunity, this particular topic should be in a curriculum of education in various institutions so that it will at least build the future of the younger generation.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a comment. He said he felt this should be something that should be heard to many, many young people, particularly of this generation. I want to announce to everyone that this program is also broadcast live on our Facebook. And currently about 12 people have joined. from the beginning. I thought they would drop off. They didn't. And I believe they're enjoying the program as well. But the beauty of it again is that this is going to be there for a long time. It's going to outlive us. So all that we're saying also, many, many more people are still going to discover what we are doing here today. So thank you for your comment. Let's go straight to Ikeja. Ikeja, please ask your question.
The question is, how can the youth be encouraged to challenge stereotypes and misconceptions about different religious groups in Nigeria without being violent? How can the youth be encouraged to challenge stereotypes and misconceptions about different religious groups in Nigeria without being violent?
That's a very critical question. I hope we had it very well. Bishop, did you hear the question?
I didn't hear that question. Can you repeat it for me?
Okay. Ikeja, please, can you ask the question again?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if the network is from us or from that end. No.
No, we're hearing you. We can see you clearly. Or can you hear us?
But it's kind of shaking.
It's breaking.
It's cracking this way.
I think it's your internet connection. It's very clear
Let's see if
here.
we can adjust our setting.
Okay, try and adjust your setting.
Okay.
But we can hear you.
Okay, we've adjusted our setting. It's okay, sir.
Okay, so can you repeat the question?
Okay,
All right, sir.
Ikeja, please repeat the question.
How can the youth be encouraged to challenge stereotypes and misconceptions about different religious groups in Nigeria without being violent?
Without being violent.
Yes, sir.
My colleague today spoke about our method of messaging. Sometimes the words people speak in terms of preaching or messaging don't have any violent content or hate speech in themselves. But I think we have to train preachers across faith or evangelists, whatever we call ourselves, on how to pass across messages, whether it's from parents to children correcting them, or from lecturers to students teaching them, or from government to citizens in requesting them to even pay tax. The methodology of passing messages remain the greatest pivot upon which peace and harmony revolves when we talk about religious integration. So to me, seasoning your words with salt. And I said in the beginning of my presentation, I look at people on three pedestals: a son of Adam, a human being like me. That's humanity in me. Forget about the Jesus in me, just the humanity in me. This is a son of Adam. So I can't harm him because he's a son of Adam. He got blood like I got blood in my body. Then he is a Nigerian. Let's assume that we are going to play football with Cameroon, for instance. I will stand with Nigeria. So the patriotism in me comes up. And thirdly, this is a son of Adam, whether he's practicing Islam or practicing Christianity or Judaism, he's a son of Adam. Now, so that does not take away from me what I know, that Jesus Christ is Lord. But do you understand? So I remain in the individuality of my conviction without causing conflict in somebody's belief.
Imam?
Yeah, thank you very much. That is a very important question, and it's one of those questions we are addressing. Right now, we are working on moderation because moderation is critical to solving this problem. Where a situation we have right now is that we have the intra-conflict. Even within the Muslims itself, the Muslim Brotherhood itself, we have different factions. And I think this issue is mostly, seen in the Muslims, in the Muslim community. I mean, among the Muslim brotherhoods, where we have different sects, the Salafiyas, the Shiites, the Sunni, the Sufi, and so on and so forth. We have an issue of infidelity, where even within Muslims itself, the people call themselves names. And we have issues whereby people no longer educate, but they indoctrinate. And if you look at all these ideas, are more extreme ideas. So what we are doing now is to solve this kind of problem. One is building capacity of faith leaders, both Christians and Muslims. Two is to ensure that government itself come into this. And I think I may stand to be corrected. There must be sort of regulation. Sometimes people mount the podium as imam or as pastors. You say whatever you like. I can give a good example of Oman, the Sultanate of Oman. We have been there, we have trained religious leaders, both from the military chaplains there, and we are currently going for another one by the end of February. You see, when you get to that country, as imam, your khutbah, your sermon, is written directly from Ministry of Islamic Affairs. They don't allow it. All you need to do is to face the congregation and read what they gave you to read. Because this issue whereby people just speak loosely and there are no regulation of what we say. You say what is in your mind, not what the people need to hear. And that is one of our problems. If you look at during our election, you see how we incited people to violence. Because as religious leaders, we have taken to be the main politicians and we turn our mosques and churches to campaign grounds. So these are what is coming out from our mouth and within to our groups and so on. So they want to emulate us. They want to do the same thing that we're saying. They say what we see in Nigeria, say, follow what I say, but don't follow my own attitude. This is very, very wrong. And in mitigating this, and we run the scriptural reasoning project, whereby we discuss issues that resonate well with our society and that can bring our society together. And I think this is very, very important to every one of us to note. And that is why we are also bridging the gap. That is why we are going to universities. That's why we're going to high schools. That's why we are nurturing younger imams now that are coming up, and we are exposing them to the best of moderation so that everything must be moderate. It's very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we go straight to Oshogbo. I have a co-moderator also who is going to also be chiming in from this hand. That's Mrs. Josephine Folorunsho. So she also will be coming up. Yes, let's go to Oshogbo. Over to you.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for always giving us this value-packed programs. My name is Michael Itayo, and I am a resident of Oshogbo here. I want to thank the bishop and I want to thank the imam for their inspiring presentations. And I also want to thank the US Window for always putting up these programs for us. I have a short contribution and I have a question. My passion is to positively inspire the youth. I love my country. I believe that Nigeria is one of the greatest countries in the world. And 2 years ago, we did something called Alake Alafe. That is say no. We want peace. Last year, we did say no to drugs, and we put these materials on social media, on YouTube, to influence our youth. And we look at the encouragement, sir, is not there. There are a few of us that really love this country and want to promote peace, want to work with organizations like yourself to make sure the youth are influenced the right way. But we don't see the support. We don't see the encouragement. Thank God for US Window. So my question is this: how can we get mentorship? How can we get mentorship from people like you, from organizations like you, so that we can continue to promote peace in our community and our society? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. So Imam will go first and then Bishop. Like I mentioned, I have Mrs. Josephine. Can you wave your hand so that they can see you? So she's going to take over from me right now. and we continue with the program. Then Calabar, we really appreciate you, sir, and for all that you've done. So Imam, please go right ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Addressing that question, I think first of all, we need to encourage the U.S. Embassy and the U.S. government to also do more in this regard. How they should serve as the bridge. Like what my brother just said now, we are running a lot of programs on religious freedom. For instance, there is the version of the religious freedom, the Nigerian Roundtable, which I'm part of, and which we can also bring people like you to join. Not only that, we've been to Osogbo, I and Bishop, to run programs severally on interreligious collaboration against corruption, funded by the MacArthur Foundation. And all we need is that now that we have the American space, we can use this space effectively by bringing everyone on board. There are lots of programs, both locally and internationally, that people can benefit from, that will help to enhance religious freedom and support interreligious collaboration in Nigeria. People are doing great work, not only us. People are doing great work. The only thing is that we need to promote this to the public. And I think we, on our hand, we are doing our best to ensure that. But now that we have this platform, we can make judicious use of this platform, whereby not only on Religious Freedom Day, like January 16, that we'll be talking about this, we can come here at any point in time, looking at the availability of the space to ensure that we bring this first-hand and first-class information, including capacity building, engagement, enlightenment, work for peace, and so on and so forth, to the space. And I think this we can do very well, as we always do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to ask if Bishop Isong, if he has any contribution to make in respect of this question. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I do want to add to what Imam have just said. 2 points I should add there. Number one, collaborations. You know, I said it in one of the forum. The criminals and the troublemakers, they seem to be more united than the peacemakers. I don't know if, I mean, armed robbers, they don't care what religion you come from. So far you are a robber, we take some Indian ham, we go boogie. Then those who are for peace, the peacemakers and the facilitators of kind of moment, like we are not united. So what Imam says is important, collaboration. And then the second thing I have to say there before we ask, I think, Calabar to ask question. Second thing I want to say there is local content. Our American brothers, and I want us to please appreciate the United States government, the consulate, the embassy. You guys are wonderful. But the purpose of their standing by us was for us to be able to discover ourselves. We have a lot of billionaires in Nigeria who are putting their money into all kinds of anti-people's projects. And if just a quarter of that money can sponsor, like Osogbo said now, if they can send that to Osogbo, not even Calabar, you remember us, this country would have changed. Our local content, we can also look inward. When we talk of sponsorship, let it come from MacArthur, let it come from all over the world, but let Nigerians, for instance, take responsibility of the sanitation of their environment.
Thank you very much, sir. We take Oka. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Oka.
Good morning. My name. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Clearly, we can hear you, sir.
Hello? Right. Good morning. My name is Gossip Blossom. Question. Over the years, I've been growing up. I've seen a couple of things done with religious integration. I mean, one is from political offices. You find out that they don't actually put out, vacancies for other people, in the sense that they just recycle people from their own religion to play the role, whether qualified to foster religious division in the system. How do we counter that? Religion has been playing a couple of roles in which people don't actually go to invest in other states because of, you know, the kind of collectiveness or covering they have for their religion. Want to go to the East to, you know, play.
I think we got that. I think we got that question. Thank you. Bishop, would you like to go forth, sir?
Yeah, like if you are reading my mind, I thought of some places in the South that because of religion will prevent investments and businesses in some areas. And I thought of places in the North where certificate of occupancy will not be issued to some people because of religious biases. These prejudices, these religious prejudices across our length and breadth of governmental institutions have been a major cog in the wheel of economic development in Nigeria. So what the person said is very correct. The biases and the prejudices is hindering investment. People's mentality and doctrinal preferences, and like you talk about employment, you would not even get some jobs if you are not from a certain place of religious bias. So that we need to change. Thank you.
So, Imam, can you tell us what can we do to change these biases? What steps can we take?
Yeah, what I would suggest is that it starts from the government, because in changing prejudices and biases, there must be a political will. In a situation whereby the government itself is actually promoting this, so people like us that we do not have much resources, and sometimes when you get to a point, you cannot go further, and you have to stop. So what to do is for the government itself to come up with policies and follow it up. We have in our constitution that religion should not be reason for accepting employing someone or not employing someone. Because it's not the reason for someone voting for someone and not voting for someone. But we have seen a situation whereby religion, the government itself, they have made an incursion into religion. When they want to use religion to divide us, they come into it, and they have some of the leaders that they use as agents that are even more powerful and more placed in the society than people like us. People like us that are actually, we are opened and we want to say it as it is. We want to ensure that this is stopped. We are being guarded. Do you get what I'm saying? Politically, economically, and socially. So, but within our own space, we are doing our best. We are erasing all these prejudices. For instance, I showed, there's a picture I showed here, and which I normally show to people, especially youth. When we wanted to pray Jumat in Washington, D.C., we were looking for mosque on the Pennsylvania Avenue. We were looking for mosque. And one of my colleagues, a friend, you get what I'm saying, who is also a Muslim from Somalia, who is the head of Nation for Religion and Prayer, said, "Oh, Imam, let's go to the mosque. Let's go and pray Jumat." And when we entered into the cathedral, a church, do you know what I'm saying, whereby that church, they gave it to the Muslims to pray their Friday Jumat every week. And after the Jumat, they will serve you lunch. And some of my colleagues were staying back. Imam, this is church. I said, you have to come in. This is where we have to pray Jumat. Do you get what I'm saying? So these are kind of things. You can see the level of the fact that if we can do this in our country, then we'll be reducing this discrimination we are talking about. The prejudices will be reduced. So we need to do, it's really affecting our development. It's really affecting our, sustainable development in Nigeria, whereby people, because of their religion, they are being deprived of where they are supposed to be. They have the quality, they have the standard, they merit the position, but because it's not from our own, religious, background, and it's not from our own, sect, we cannot allow such person. And in such climate, in such environment, there can never be development. So one of the advantage of religious freedom for us to promote religious acceptability everywhere.
Thank you very much, sir. We go to Calabar. Do we still have someone that wants to ask a question?
Yeah. Where's the camera? Who's asking the next question?
Please
Let's take the
unmute
lady
and ask
first.
your question.
Where's the IT guy? Come on and meet.
Calabar, you ready?
Yes, they're ready. Should they come here? Let her ask. Quickly.
Please go ahead.
Yes, go ahead straight. Sit down. You are too tall. Take it.
So my short one was give an instance of knife and say knives in the wrong hands and kill.
Yeah.
And the knife in the hand of the soldier and save. Now, in the political space, I'm sorry to say, but in Nigeria, our citizens are really influenced by our political leaders. So my question is, how do we prevent religious coexistence initiatives from being political? Number one. And number two, how do we measure the success of this initiative promoted by religious coexistence? So that's.
Yeah, we have more questions from Calabar.
Yes.
I don't think we should ask
Hold on, Calabar. Calabar, we have people asking questions from Sokoto too.
Okay.
Do they want us to answer? Should I answer? Hello? It's off, huh? We're waiting for Anchor to answer that question.
Do you want to answer the question?
Yeah, we're waiting for you to give us the note. If you want me to, I can do that quickly.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, his first part of his question is what I want to answer. How do we avoid politics, political gladiators hijacking very good intentions for religious harmony and coexistence? Well, let me say, first of all, that politicians, they don't really care about what religion you go. In fact, they swear to the Quran and swear to the Bible, but they don't respect either of the books. They can steal and squander and do anything. They only come to use religion as a weapon to divide Christians and Muslims, and they go in between the middle to continue the squandermania. So religion means nothing to a bad politician. He uses either Islamic faith. For instance, some people have been arrested and quizzed by EFCC for some money. They are going to shout, "We are Christians." That's why they are persecuting us. And the other one will shout, "Because I'm a Muslim." That is why they want to kill your sister. And the stupid Muslim person will say, "That's true, leave my sister." Leave your sister, thief? So we need to be conscious. The religious leaders need to educate the religious population that when it comes to matter of constitution, that they should not condescend into playing politics.
Thank you very much, sir. Imam, do you have just one word to say about that question before we take Sokoto?
One word to add to that, to that is that
yes,
let me sound this clear. Before now, it's unfortunate for our present generation of youth that what we enjoyed, the kind of religious freedom we enjoyed before now, is not what we are seeing today. Now it's political religion that we are doing now. I just want them to, so it's only God that can save us and save the situation in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Please, let's have Sokoto. You can unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm AbduKarem, a participant from Sokoto and also an IBLP.
Can you put on your camera?
Yeah, we need to see his face.
Please put on your camera.
Hello?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at this forum. And We appreciate both the speakers and listeners and everybody. And in the issue of bridging the gap for peaceful coexistence and tolerance among the religious faiths, I would like to see the speakers bringing out the issue of sensitivities in religious matters, which act as the basis of the fracas. What I'm trying to say here is that there is the need for both the scholars and the clergy from the Christian and the Muslim side to point out at the stage of teaching the young ones those sensitive and fragile issues that are likely going to be the cornerstone of the crisis, so that as we are catching them young from the school environment, from the university, from the polytechnic, we'll be able to educate our children that these things are very sensitive when it comes to the issue of Islam as it deals with the Sharia and what have you. And also in the Christian religions, these things are very sensitive because it may lead to what may be interpreted as blasphemy, and somebody taking the law into his hand because he has been taught that way. I think if something is entrenched and also become part and parcel of the agenda of orientation, we'll be able to douse the tension, increase the level of understanding of the young children that are coming up, and also make those who are on the stage understand very well, so that we reduce the sensitivity as well as the likelihood of igniting crisis among youth when they are in some place. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope the speakers will really go into this. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's more like a contribution.
Yeah. Can we answer that question from Calabar?
Something about that. We need to talk about that.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, Imam wants to answer now.
Yes.
You know,
Imam, sir.
As a speaker, you may not be able to say everything because of time. Our brother talked about sensitivity in religion. We have talked about religious literacy. And we have talked about what we call religious understanding. In Christendom and Islam, as teachers of faith, we must allow people to learn about other faiths, so that they want to look at the issue of that that happened is, Kano or something like, where the issue of blasphemy. Do you get what I'm saying? The girl that, talked about the Prophet Sallallahu in a negative way, if from home and from church, he or she has been taught this, he wouldn't have done that. Also, those that attacked and killed her, if they've been taught about the lifetime of the Prophet, when during the Prophet, people blaspheme Allah and blaspheme the Prophet in his own presence, and the Prophet did not kill them. Rather, he embraced them. So these are sensitive, there are a lot of sensitive issues as far as religion is concerned, but it is our own responsibility as religious leaders to teach about interreligious studies. Is very, very important in our schools and in every aspect of our life. If parents had taught their children how about other religion, or allow them to mingle with other faiths, they will know what that, because we must respect our faiths. As Muslim, I must respect, if Islam says I can marry 4 wives, do you know what I'm saying? A Christian says, oh, Bible says I can marry 1 wife. So that should not be a problem. Part of respect is that Muslims, they marry 4 wives. You must not hate a Muslim because of that. Oh, Christian marries 1 wife or 2 wives. You must not hate them because of that. Why? In our facilitation, what I normally do, I ask Christians, I put them separately, and I said, go and mention 10 things that you dislike about the Muslims. I will also ask the Muslim, tell me 10 things you dislike about the Christian. I will also ask them, what are the things you like about Muslims or Christians? By the time they come back with the like and dislike, you will see them balancing up. Do you get what I'm saying? And you see them talking about, oh, I didn't know why the reason why Muslim do certain things. Now I've come to understand why they do this and that. And because of that, we have balanced that, and we see the participant telling us that, wow, they didn't know. Wow, they didn't know. So it's about ignorance. So in dealing with sensitive issue, we must educate our constituency. It's very important. Thank you.
Yeah, can I hand over where's the cameraman? Can I hand over my space to somebody here who is very experienced to answer that very briefly about sensitivity of both religions? The cameraman is like, you can come here. Just come here. Well, an issue was raised. That is the issue of blasphemy. Most times we fight for God instead of allowing God to do what? To fight for himself. Perfect. An incident happened in Judges chapter 6, where Gideon pulled down a shrine. And the people of the village rose up of that, let us kill him, bring Gideon, we will kill him. Why did he blaspheme? The father of Gideon, Josh, said to the people, will you fight for Baal? If Baal is God, let him fight for himself. So if we have somebody has blasphemed, whom did he blaspheme? Answer, please. Whom did he blaspheme? Then let God do what? And once the father of George said that, there was peace. Everybody went back to his what? To his own corner. So when we see a blasphemy, please let us allow God to do what? Fight for himself. I think I just leave that. Thank you. Let me before I end here, let me remind Imam, yourself and myself were in a conference in Abuja, and it was during the Ramadan fast. Do you remember that incident?
Yes.
And they were sharing food, and the food was so sumptuous. We, the Christians, have to ask the organizers to keep our Muslim brothers' food so that they will eat after the fast. So we accepted for food to be separated so that our Muslim brothers will eat after the fast while we Christians enjoyed our meal. That is the kind of thing we want to hear on this platform. The anchors. Okay.
Hello?
Network is breaking.
Okay.
Just talking.
Han, can you take over, please? I think Josephine is having challenge.
Okay, sir.
Come over.
Okay, so we have another question from Calabar. Okay. So can we have the next person to ask the question? The lady this time around. Please come forward.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, yes, I had a network issue with my system. I was calling on Ikeja.
Okay.
There's a hand raised up at Ikeja. Calabar, please, can you hold on a second?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have someone in Ikeja? I saw a hand raised.
Yes.
The hand is still raised.
Okay, please go ahead, Ikeja. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Sefiu. Okay, yeah, my name is Alabi Ahmed. I'm a member of the Strength in Diversity Development Center. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to the U.S. Embassy and the American Corner for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank
so
you,
I
sir.
have a
Please
question.
go ahead with the question.
It has to do educational, the school settings. Okay, like Imam rightly said, back in the days when we were growing up, we did not have the number of private schools that we have today back then. So we, by choice or by force, we had to attend public schools. And it's only at these schools, this public school, and up till today that you can have the opportunity to learn about other religion, like Imam said. But today, we have private schools, and it sees that the public schools have been reduced to schools for the never-do-wells, the ones at the bottom of the society. It seems that today that is the school that is meant for them, the public school. So everybody is taking their children to the private school. And these private schools, you will have them Christian private schools, Muslim private schools. In that Christian private school, they don't teach anything Islam. They don't teach IRK like we did when we were in our own public school. We learned CRK, that is Christian religious knowledge. We did alongside IRK, that is Islamic religious knowledge. So the Christians, so the question is, what do you think, Imam and Pastor, can be done to, change this situation where we advertise religion to school, we add religion to our advertisement of private schools? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Imam, would you like to go first, sir?
Okay, thank you. Well, we are running a program now, and we are trying to encourage the schools. That's why we took these our religious freedom studies to schools now. We are preparing a pedagogy, a curriculum for that. Yeah, I think there are a lot of existing curriculum. All we need to do is for the school to buy into this. But we are facing a lot of resistance. We are from the private schools. So the public schools say they are ready to do it, and they are doing it already. But not the people, the main people are not in public schools. The people that will lead us tomorrow, most of them are not in that public school. It's only by the grace of God you see people who attend public school leading us tomorrow. Because all the politicians, they have positioned their children that went through private schools, private universities to take over from them. So meaning that in the nearest future, those people who have already learned the culture of religious tolerance, respect, and dialogue, they are not going to be in the space. Those that will be in the space are going to be those who have never heard of Islam before, about the children that have never heard about Christianity before. They have never touched Bible or the Quran before. They have never read the songs of praise before. They have never read the Quran. So those are the leaders that they are preparing for Nigeria in the future. So it's going to be another tough, generation if care is not taken. So we need people in constitutional authority who will listen to us, or those who are listening to this program, to put into their, if you can see now, they have deleted history from our curriculum. So meaning that in schools, nobody's talking about history. So when you cut off from history, I don't know what this generation of youth will be.
Okay, thank you, sir. Bishop, do you have any contribution, or we should take the question from Calabar?
Let's take the Calabar question. She's browsing.
Okay. All right, ma'am. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Fasting before, so I broke my fasting this morning because it's much water. Yes.
What practical measures do we consider aside from encouraging collaboration of the both the school? In our community to bridge this barrier?
Did you get that? Did we get that question correctly? Okay, so Bishop, I can answer.
Bishop, go ahead and answer it, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that question. Let me give the answer straight ahead for what practical steps we can take, because Imam talked about the private school and the public school, and then this public school that used to highlight history and interreligious coexistence. I no more teaching those things. And knowledge is power. Knowledge is so much power that the Bible says, for lack of knowledge, the people perish. And we are really perishing. We are really perishing in different parts of this nation because people are turning against themselves based on religious nomenclature. And let me repeat what I said in my presentation. I, Bishop Emmah Isong, will not need to drop my Bible or denounce Jesus Christ as my Lord in order for me to please a Muslim brother, for instance. But I, as I still believe in Jesus as my Savior, would not also deter, obstruct, hinder, hate, or resist a Muslim brother from practicing his faith. Yes, this is what we need. That's why I said, let's not be saying political, religious tolerance. Let's change it, if I could request, we change it to religious acceptability. So, okay, Imam Sefiu, I've been to his mosque. Imam, have I been to your mosque? Imam has been to our church, Christian Central Church, Calabar. We visited each other. The day I came to Imam's mosque, I did not become a Muslim. And the day he came to our church, he didn't become a Christian. I'm still checking on him. He has not yet. So what I'm saying is that when people hear about Islam, they get so agitated. And then when Muslims also in extreme areas hear about the teaching of Christianity, they are so agitated. I believe in a good democratic environment, both religions should be exposed to students. Let them read it, study it under history, study it under Islamic religious affairs or Christian religious affairs. Let people on their personal conviction and revelation receive, and let nobody be persecuted for changing faith. Nobody should stone anybody. Nobody should kill anybody for changing faith. No Christian should gather and stone somebody for becoming a Muslim. And no Muslim group should gather and stone anybody for becoming a Christian. Under that environment, free and fair, equitable and just environment, we can then practice our faith and whatever we want to practice without under any duress.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm tempted to end this program on this point. We really want to. Somebody has a question?
Very short one.
From which?
From Ikeja.
Ikeja, all right. That will be our last question for today.
Yes, sir. The question is, there are some of us that do not identify with any religion. What initiatives exist to socialize with people like us? We often feel left out.
Well, okay, let me start.
Imam, go ahead, sir.
Very short.
We can't hear you, sir.
Imam, on mute.
Okay, thank you. Now, what I'm saying is for the question, the person that has the question, for him not to have any religion, it's also a religion on its own. That you don't have religion, it's a religion. We have the free thinkers. They don't have religion. It's a religion on its own. So you have your freedom and your liberty, and that's what we are talking about. So irrespective of what you hold as your faith or your belief or your idea or ideology, do you know what I'm saying? You have to operate freely. So nobody should guard you. So if you are now telling us that what program do we have for you? I cannot have a program for you because you are not a Muslim. So I cannot have it. So you have a program for yourself. The only thing that there is a space for you, free space for you to practice what you believe in. And that is what we should encourage. What I need to give to you is that when you say you want to practice whatever you want to practice, I should give you the space to do that without infringing on my own religious right. And I should not infringe on your own religious right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask the last question. And I would like the bishop and the imam to give us a response. In what ways can the youth be encouraged to become ambassadors of peace and religious coexistence, not only within their communities, but also on a national level?
Can I answer?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
The NYSC program is very highly commendable. After the Nigerian Civil War, the instrument of reconciliation, reconstruction, and reconciliation was really portrayed in the NYC program led by General Gowon. So I, for one, I propose the NYC should be fully sponsored again, protected so that the program will stand. Second thing, still based on that, is interstate relationships. Many states, okay, I'm in Cross River now. They don't have much relationship with Akwa Ibom. I'm talking of Imo. They don't have much relationship with Abia. And you can see that across that Nigeria has ambassadors to other nations, neighboring nations, but Imo State, Anambra State, don't have ambassador of Imo or representative of Imo in Anambra. So interstate coordination and intrastate relationship will boost, it will boost the cultural harmony and the religious integration, my point.
Imam, sir?
Yeah, thank you. If we want to have ambassadors of peace, you can never be an ambassador of peace when you do not learn about peacemaking. So our schools, all our institutions, the family, the home, the community must turn to what religious, peace environment whereby people can learn. We will need to lead by example. All parents, leaders, imams, pastors, everywhere we find that we must lead by example. We must mentor the youth so that they can be an ambassador tomorrow. Not only that, the government should provide the enabling environment whereby religion can be taught at the pristine and moderate level. It's very important. If you allow religion to be taught at the extreme level and you are not doing anything about it, you will not have ambassadors of peace, but you have ambassadors of conflict and crisis. So these are the things that there are existing institutions that are there. What our Arabic schools, our seminaries, what are they teaching? We need to look at that and look at their curriculum. It's very, very important. The government cannot do everything. As an imam, I have an Arabic school. I have an institution, you can say, a moderation institution. What are we teaching? So we must ensure that we do this. As a society organization, we must go to all these organizations and see what they are teaching, if they resonate well with what Nigeria needs now and tomorrow. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of today's program, and we would like to specially thank our guest speakers, Bishop Emmah Isong, the General Overseer, CCCI, Calabar, Cross River State. Thank you so much, sir, for your deep insights and for what you are doing, even for our nation, Nigeria. I would also like to thank our Imam, Sefiu AbduKarem Majemu, Chief Imam, the Islamic Platform Society of Nigeria. Thank you so much for how you are promoting religious acceptability in Nigeria. We are very grateful. I also want to thank all our participants all across our spaces, American Spaces Nigeria. Please, can you give yourselves a round of applause? We are very glad to have you today. Thank you so much. We also appreciate all our directors for making this program come alive. Thank you. I also want to thank our American officer, Mr. Steven Schlieman, Political Officer, International Religious Freedom, U.S. Embassy, Abuja. Thank you so much, sir, for gracing today's occasion. And one thing that we're taking away from this is that we are first of all humans created by the same God, and as such, we must spread the love and we must be together and move our nation forward. Thank you so much. On Thursday, we have a program, MLK, Martin Luther King Jr.'s program, and we would like to also invite all our members, invite your friends to participate in this program. Thank you so much. Thank you. We are grateful. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Very serious. So tedious.
We'll send you direction. Okay.
Thank you so much for coming around.